We are live now, Anjali.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Kartik. Very good evening to everyone and welcome to webinar number 23 in CENTA webinar series. I am Anjali Jain, founder of CENTA, and it's my joy and privilege to introduce Michael Purcell, head of KC High School in Chennai for our session today. Mick comes from United States and he has received his degree in engineering and physics over there. He has been a maths teacher for over 25 years and also teaches a range of other subjects such as physics, theory of knowledge, general science, history, computer science, and design, etc. Mick serves many roles as for the IBO as a workshop leader, consultant, site visitor, and so on. And he is widely recognized as an innovator in international education, developing programs in web literacy, digital citizenship, academic honesty, etc. And before joining KC High, he has worked with United World College in Pune and also in EduBridge in Mumbai. So he brings a vast experience of education with him. And for me, particularly, it is an honor to have you here today, Mick, because we started CENTA. Mick and Casey have been giving us constructive feedback from day one in terms of what can we do for teachers and how can we improve our work. And it's always a very enriching discussion that we end up having in terms of what more can be done for the teaching community. And KC High was one of the first schools which supported CENTA certification in terms of giving weightage to CENTA certification in its recruitment processes. And KC High is again amongst the leading schools in the country, which is going to recruit from the Manipal CENTA postgraduate program that we are launching in October. And for today's session, Mick has chosen to talk about online teaching. And as we all know, given the whole pandemic situation, if there is something that all our educators are learning to do and making a steep transition towards is how to teach online effectively and efficiently. And today's session will focus on that. So happy learning and over to you, Mick. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali, and thanks to CENTA for having me. Namaste, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to ask you real quickly, can you hear me well? If you can hear me well, please type a Y into the chat box for yes. Are you hearing me? If you're hearing me loud and clear, please type a Y into the chat box. Okay, a lot of Ys, that's good. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is you can barely hear me at all, and 10 is that I'm crystal clear, please tell me how is the level of the audio. Type in a number between 1 and 10. Seems to be about a 1 second. Oh, very good. Very good. So it looks like I don't need the headphones. Okay. Let me just try this real quickly. Okay, so there's an 8. Now, how is my audio? Is the audio, give me a score from 1 to 10. It looks like it's clearer now. Okay. So getting the audio right is really important as an online teacher. Okay, so I'm going to show my screen real quickly here. Oh, my screen is already up. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. Yeah, looks like good. Everybody's saying clear. I'm happy about that. So why don't I start like this? I'm going to share with you a 1-minute video. It's just more than 1 minute, and let's see if it sounds okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us at the CENTA webinar about online teaching competencies. My name is Mick Purcell. I'm the head of school at KC High in Chennai, and I will be your presenter for the next 55 minutes. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope we have fun and learn a lot. We're going to discuss what are online teaching competencies, and what are the skills that you need to be an effective online teacher. There will be some tips, some resources. We'll share all of those. We don't have a lot of time. It's a big subject, but I'll do the best that I can. Thanks a lot for joining us. The format will be about 20 or 25 minutes of me presenting. We'll have some videos, maybe a poll, a quiz, that kind of stuff. Hopefully you'll find it engaging. Then we'll take a break. I'll read through the questions. Please do feel free to use the chat box. Then we'll have another 20 minutes and maybe some questions at the end. Again, thanks a lot for joining us. Most of all, I hope that you take something back to your schools that you find very useful to make you a more effective online teacher. Okay, let's get started. Great. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen again. This time I'm going to share the entire window. I hope everybody was able to see that. And I'm going to share my presentation. Okay, so how does it look, Kartik? Can you see the presentation?
I'm able to see that, Mick. Yes.
You are able to see it. Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started. As you can see, we're talking about online teaching competencies. I just gave you a video about what we're going to learn today. One thing you might think about is, why did I begin with a video? Clearly, I could have just presented live, but instead I wanted to show this little 1-minute video from YouTube. What is the advantage? What was I doing? Why did I do that? I'm just going to ask you to think about that for now. I could actually check the comment box, see if anybody wants to answer it now, but we don't have a lot of time today, so I'm not going to spend too much time looking at the comment box. What I will do is I will pause occasionally and check the comment box and look for burning questions, okay? Kartik, does it look okay? Are you seeing both myself and my slides?
Yes, Mick. I can see both. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, I think that's what I want. All right. So as I said, the format is about that. I'm going to start just by mentioning some of the sources that I use when I research, and some of the sources that I've used for this presentation. This is such an important skill, putting together a proper bibliography, that if we had the time, I would probably run a short session on how to write a proper bibliography, or as we say these days, a works cited page. I'm not going to have time to do that tonight, I think, but I'm kind of shocked at the number of students that arrive in grade 11 without having these skills. And these are the skills of both writing a bibliography and of summarizing what the experts say about a particular topic. So here are some of the works that I have used. These are all available free and online. By the way, in case you're interested in my slides, you can get them there from slideshare.net. You just go slideshare.net, Mick Purcell, all the slides are there, okay? So there's just a load of stuff that's available for learning about online teaching and online learning. So if you want to learn about it, there is a lot of free information available and some fantastic resources. These are from India, from the United States, from Hong Kong, and from Ireland, the ones that I've used tonight. Okay, so let's start with one piece of bad news and two pieces of good news. Let's start with the bad news. And, I know you already know this, but I just have to mention it. Teaching online is extraordinarily difficult and complex, and it's much, much different than teaching in a classroom environment. I know that's not news to you because you've been doing it and you understand how difficult it is. This is a competency that requires an enormously broad and wide set of skills. But I can also say that we have a couple of pieces of good news to go with it, and that is that this generation of learners, these kids that we're teaching today, are very open-minded about learning online. And when it's done well, they really enjoy it, and they're very, very appreciative. And the kids are very kind, they're very keen, and most importantly, they're very forgiving. So we should not be afraid of making mistakes when we're teaching online, because the kids will forgive us if we give our best efforts. Another piece of information that's really good news is everything you need to learn about teaching online is available for free online. You just need to learn how to use the internet well. And that's one of the things that I hope to be modeling tonight and to be sharing with you. So let's start with a Kahoot quiz. I think most of you know how to do Kahoot. Let me go and see if I can find it here. Yes, here's my Kahoot, and here is the presentation. I hope you're seeing all this. We'll find out in a second. I want to play this. I should have had it loaded beforehand. I apologize for that. Normally I remember to do that. Okay, so we're going to go with the classic version. I hope you guys are using Kahoot. I have a lot to say about how to use Kahoot and why it works well. But let's just have some fun. The purpose of this Kahoot is, not to determine who is the winner, but to just have some fun. So let's go ahead and once we get quite a few people loaded up, it's 15 questions. It's about online learning and online teaching. So I'm waiting for players. I think and I hope you know how to do this. You type in that code. You go to kahoot.it, and we got our first player, that's Art. You can either play or watch. That's up to you. But I think when we get past 20 or 30 players, we'll go ahead and start. A few familiar names coming up there and a few unfamiliar names. What do you think, Kartik? When do you think we should start? After about 30? Looks like they're still adding.
Sure, looks like they're still will be there. 765 of us watching it, so maybe we'll just wait for a few more seconds. Yeah.
Okay, looks like people are still adding, so I'll pause maybe once we get past 50. Wow, that's a lot of players. We don't want to overload the poor Kahoot system. All right, what do you think? Okay, it's your last chance. I'll give you another 5 seconds. Okay, let's get started. Okay, remember, it's all in good fun. You can still join. The code is 180844. I think Kartik will put that in the comment box. Okay, 15 questions. A competency is best defined as yes, it's certainly the set of skills needed for a particular profession, in this case, the profession of teaching. Congratulations to Harsha, who seems to have answered that question the most quickly. Which of the following is not a required skill for online teaching? Correct. Designing basic infographics, using presentation software, video conferencing etiquette, those are all important. Doing calculations in spreadsheets is not. Okay. Harsha's still on top. Okay, next. What is the 2020 equivalent of the dog ate my homework? Yes, I had connectivity issues. It's becoming an issue, and we need to talk about that a little bit later. Raji has climbed to the top a little very quick. Which of the following can help you find expert information about teaching online? Certainly, those are all journals about teaching and learning online. The first and the third are absolutely free. The second one, I'm afraid, is owned by Taylor and Francis, and Raji's still in front. What unit is to measure the upload speed of your internet connection? Absolutely, Mbps, and I hope that image was familiar to you. I hope you're checking the speed of your internet connection and that you have a good internet connection, because you cannot be an effective online teacher without one. Raji's still leading. Research into student readiness for online learning shows that students are strong in technical skills, but weak in time management. That's students reporting themselves how they feel about online learning. Students need help in time management. They're asking for that themselves. Subhashri is now coming to first place. According to the MHRD, teachers must pay attention to the learners' Absolutely, all of the above. We have to pay attention to physiological factors like the age, the physical disabilities, psychological factors like interest, motivation, learning style, but also sociological factors such as the first language, the parent support, the availability, whether they have internet. All of these things are important. That's one of the things that makes it so challenging to do online teaching. Which practice is very important for the long-term delivery of online lessons? That was a tricky one. I am not a big fan of keeping a glass of drinking water next to your keyboard where you might spill into the keyboard, and certainly a computer has more functionality than an iPad, but turning off your computer at night is extremely important. And it's amazing how important it is to do basic computer maintenance if you're going to be an effective online teacher. PB is up there with Nehal as well, and Vijayalakshmi as well. Next. Which online platform do you need to practice and master? Yeah, I guess for some of you, you know, it might be G Suite or Microsoft Teams or Zoom if that's what your school has selected. But the one that everyone in this seminar tonight must master is the platform that's chosen by your school. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. Okay, I think we're on question 10. We've got 5 to go. After 4.5 months of lockdowns and COVID, what concerns thoughtful educators the most? Absolutely right. The children's mental and physical health. We're seeing a lot of concerns right now, and that's what we're most concerned about. Nehal is now in second place. Next. What does Control-Shift-T do? It opens the tab you last closed. That's a very useful desktop shortcut. And I hope that everybody gets something useful out of tonight. And if you didn't know that before, I'm sure you'll find it very useful. Srilekha, G. Srilekha is coming to third place. Next. Which category of software products does the MHRD recommend? Free and open source software. And we're going to talk about that Pragyata a little bit. That's absolutely right. The job that the government of India and the Ministry of Human and Resource Development has is enormous. They have to educate something like 425 million children, and they better use free and open source software. They cannot pay for Google, Adobe, or Microsoft products for all those kids. That's something that we might have time to talk about, but we probably won't. But it's an extremely important idea. Who can mute a participant in Zoom or G Meet? Either the participant herself or the call host. This might affect the standings a little bit. Raji's still first, Nehal is second. And we have 2 last questions. Let's go through them. India's guidelines for digital education are Pragyata. What does the P represent? Planning is absolutely right. Planning has never been more important. I'm glad to see that it looks like many people have read the Pragyata guidelines. And lastly, this one's a bit tricky. In my successful online lesson has 5 elements called SMILE. What does the S represent? Social is absolutely right. It is so important that our online lessons are social. You have to ask yourself, why are the kids coming to your online lessons? So congratulations to KB, to Lily, and to Raji, and Nehal and Archu. Okay, that was to have a little bit of fun, but all of those questions actually have some basis in practice and theory. And this just gives you an idea of the enormity of the types of skills you need to be an effective online teacher. Okay, I'm gonna just go through this stuff real quickly. We don't have that much time. The architecture of online teaching is interesting. Remember when we were in classrooms, the web was very much a part of teaching, but we were in between the cloud and the learners. Now the learners are interacting directly with the cloud and we are on the side. And that is a profound difference that I want you to think about. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that, but that means a big difference in terms of what the children are experiencing. I'm gonna say a few things here. First of all, one thing I promised tonight is I promised that I'll give you an answer to these 2 fill in the blanks. For now, I want you to think about it. Maybe you'll see the comments. The biggest mistake that teachers make when learning to teach online is blank. Just think about that, if you will. And the single most important factor in being an effective online teacher is your blank. That's one word, it's a noun. And it's amazing how much consensus there is about that amongst the experts. The experts feel very clearly that there's one thing that's more important than anything else in terms of determining whether you are an effective online teacher. So I'm going to answer these questions before the night is out. But for now, let's just go on. I think this is a very important quotation from Lee Shulman, professor of education at Stanford. He spent 30 years studying and analyzing both teachers and doctors. And in the end, he came away with this idea that classroom teaching is perhaps the most complex, most challenging, most demanding, subtle, nuanced, and frightening activity that our species has ever invented. And he said that before online teaching. I think with online teaching, it actually gets twice as complicated. There's a lot of theory here, and I can spend a lot of time on theory, and I might come back to it, but I'm going to actually skip past a lot of this theory and just get to a story that I think is really important. And this is what every parent wants. And when I say what every parent wants, I mean that it should be what teachers want too, because what parents want is happy kids. And I can tell you the other day, I walked into my room and there was my 9-year-old daughter, and she had a big smile on her face during her online lesson. And she raised her hands in the air and she said to me, "Dad, I'm so happy that I went to my optional lesson today because it's drama." Then I said, "Okay, I've got to get out my camera." She immediately looked at me and said, "Why are you taking this picture of me?" I wanted to capture that big, beautiful smile. But then she went back into her lesson. So you can see her lesson in the middle photo there. There's about 12 or 13 or 14 kids. And you can see how happy she is, how engaged she is. And I heard her talking, and she was telling her friends, "If I gave it to you, you wouldn't even know what it is. So this assignment was that every child in the class should take something from the desk, anything from the desk, and using their imagination, passing it in through the computer to somebody else in the lesson. And then that student was supposed to take out the imaginary object and ask, what is it? And the first student's supposed to describe it. Then that student takes a different imaginary object and passes it through the computer, and another student takes it out. Of course, they had to make sure everybody got a turn. There was a lot of sharing and caring and all those good things. These are fourth graders. Now, you can see how happy my daughter was. Now, that object on the left is a Wacom tablet. It's a creative tablet used for drawing that I'm trying out to see if it can help mathematics teachers. Now, the reason my daughter first wanted to put it through but then couldn't do it is because she didn't know what to call it. She herself didn't know what to call it. That's why she told her friend, if I gave it to you, you wouldn't know what it is. So in the end, she grabbed my wallet and she described it to her friend. And then she gave my wallet back to me and said, sorry, Dad, all your money and all your credit cards are gone. And of course, I opened my wallet and they were still there, but she was using her imagination. So this online lesson passes what I call the smile test, okay? Every online lesson needs to be social, meaningful, interactive, light, and engaging. Teachers need to ask the question, what's in it for the kids? What do the kids look forward to? When they wake up in the morning, are they looking forward to your online lessons or are they not? And that's the essential question that you need to answer in designing online lessons. Okay, so let's look at this lesson real quickly and ask, does it pass the smile test? Is it social? Absolutely. She's communicating with her friends. Is it meaningful? Yes, she's trying to interpret these new things on her desk that she doesn't know what they are. Is it interactive? Absolutely. Is it light and fun? Yes. Is it engaging? Now, I know some administrators and some teachers and even some parents are going to ask, but where does it show up on the curriculum? And my point is, if it's not on the curriculum, it should be, because this is the type of learning that kids should be involved in. And I can assure you, just as I did when I saw my daughter doing this, parents are happy when they see their kids are engaged, when they're happy, when they're loving school, when they're looking forward to their online lessons. And then they do not start asking all those questions about curriculum coverage. When they see that the school is focused on curriculum coverage, that's what makes parents anxious, and that's what gets them so worried, and that's when they start becoming more interfering. So this is the test that we should be using when we're doing online planning. Okay, how are we doing there, Kartik?
We're
It's
doing
17,
great.
it's 5:35, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So
everything okay?
yeah, going great.
Any
Yes.
interesting comments, questions that I need to address?
Not right now. I can't see any questions in the comment section right now.
Okay, so let me just ask real quickly, see if you can help me on this, Kartik. I'm not actually seeing the comment box. I suppose I could, but yeah. Right. Oh, okay, great. So here's a question. Here's my Kahoot, right? Here's my Kahoot account. And we just went through these. These are all actually important questions. And if anybody has any questions, ask them about that. Here's another Kahoot. Let me ask you guys this. Let's see what they say. Who do you think wrote this Kahoot? Any comments? Yes, building connections, very important. Okay, I'm going to ask the question again. Here's a different Kahoot. I'm switching gears a little bit. I'm talking about the importance of using Kahoots. Just look at this Kahoot real quickly. I'll mention this. This is Robin Stevens. She's the author of a book called Murder Most Unladylike. I highly recommend her murder mysteries for young teens that are particularly for girls that like murder mysteries. Somebody has written this Kahoot, and I'm going to ask you, who do you think wrote this Kahoot? Any guesses yet, Kartik? Teacher. Yeah, not quite. Let's look at it again. I'll give you a hint. Who was that last story just about? Any other comments, Kartik?
Bhavna ma'am is saying Robin Stevens.
Right. No. Okay, interesting. No, it's not. Look at the spelling of principal. Look at question number 6. Miss Bell was elected deputy assistant to the principal. True or false? I like that. I think I might have to take that.
Arthi ma'am saying your daughter.
Absolutely. That's exactly who wrote this Kahoot. Now, she saw me writing a Kahoot, and she saw how much fun it was for the students in my class. So she decided that she wanted to go write a Kahoot. I had nothing to do with this. She got on my account and she wrote this 10-question Kahoot for this book called Murder Most Unladylike that she and I have been reading together. Look at that spelling of principal. I like that. Principal, like an able prince. I suppose if she's a woman, it has to be princessable. Anyway, as you can see, that's a 4th grader spelling principal. And we got into a big argument about the question because I did the Kahoot. I got only 8 out of 10. And, we got into a big argument about whether Miss Bell was elected or appointed deputy assistant. She said same thing. And I said, no, those words are different. So what's my point in showing you this Kahoot? It's amazing how valuable it is to get kids writing their own Kahoots. When she actually did this, the amount of grammar she needed to learn, connecting subjects to verb, using language, using something that she's reading, something that she's interested in. So one of my tips for using these Kahoots is let the kids write them themselves, right? And especially if you have established over a period of time that one of the kids keeps winning all the Kahoots, you just remove that kid from the competition and tell her or him to either MC the Kahoot competition, to compare it, or to write the Kahoot themselves. And you'd be amazed. It is really hard to write the English well in Kahoot. So there's a lot of learning going on, just as my daughter learned a lot by writing that Kahoot. Now, again, my point is, this is the type of things that we need to be doing online. And if it's not on the curriculum, it needs to be. Maybe we need to think about our own learning objectives and making sure they conform to this SMILE test. Okay, where am I going to go to now? I think I'm going to try to skip past. So let's just see, how are we doing now? How are we doing on time? Okay, it's important to take breaks. So if you have any questions, you can type them into the comment box or the chat box. Do we see any questions? Any burning questions? Anything like that? Let me check. Useful tips. Okay. The text is not clear. All right. Okay. I want to, looks like things are going okay. So I've got a lot to say and we're kind of rushed on time, but breaks are important. I think it's really important to stretch and to break. So let me just do this. Everybody take a couple minutes if you want to sort of stretch, get a glass of water if you need to, or if you want, you can go to this Nearpod. I'm going to just ask you 5 questions. Can you see that, Kartik? Can we see that?
Yes, I can. I'll also share the link in the comment section.
Right, yeah. So let's go to nearpod.com. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and then we're going to we're going to just go to a poll, okay? So does everybody see that code, DGWRL? So I'm going to go to my Nearpod here. Let's make sure this works. Okay. All right, let's start. Oops. Can you see that? In which part of India are you? Are they seeing that or not seeing that?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
All right, we have 50% that are in North India so far. You can use your real name or another name. Looks like North India, South India. Looks like no answer is the most prominent answer here. I'm not sure why that is, but some people have just not hit enter yet, I suppose. Okay, South India, North India. Interesting. Quite a few that have not answered. Maybe they're in a different part of India. I wonder what that is. Haven't got anybody from East or West yet, huh? Nobody outside of India. Got 32 people in it now. I'm going to hide the student names. That's not important. I don't want anybody to be embarrassed. Okay, so now we've got West India, East India, outside of India, one person from outside of India. Okay. Okay, great. So let's go on to the next question. Looks like South India is where most of our participants are. That's interesting, Kartik. More than 50%. Next question. Which is your favorite cinema? Bollywood, Hollywood, Collywood, Tollywood, documentaries? None. I read books. Please go ahead and answer that one. I'm really trying to get to question 5 here. The first questions are mostly about fun. Looks like we've got some Collywood fans, some book readers, Hollywood as well. Quite a few book readers, some Bollywood fans. A small percentage of documentaries. Hollywood and Bollywood are coming up. Very interesting. All right. So this is mainly just to have some fun. I'm trying to get to question 5 here. I'll do that in a second. Looks like I've had 40 answers. So let's go and check the next question. Just 5 questions. Which is the age of students that you teach? Pre-primary, grades 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, university. Which is the age of students that you primarily teach? I'm kind of interested in this information. Looks like we've got quite a few high school teachers. Interesting. No, now it's coming grades 1 to 4, primary, middle school. Looks like it's pretty evenly distributed. Got some pre-primary teachers there as well. No university teachers so far. Grades 9 to 12 and grades 1 to 4 and grades 5 to 8, pretty well distributed. Okay, that's interesting. We'll go on to question, the next question. Which department is closest to your heart? The arts, humanities, counseling and support, admin, mathematics, science, or languages? Looks like we've got a distribution again. Language, yep. Lots of different people, a few languages, most interesting. Humanities, science, mathematics, a nice distribution. Only a few arts teachers, that's interesting. Okay. Languages, mostly languages, science, mathematics, and humanities. Quite a few in counseling and support. I'm glad to see that. Okay. Next question. I think there's 1 or 2 more. Yeah, how is this session going? Let me go. Too fast, please slow down. Too simple. I want more theory. Should we take a short break? Please stop and answer questions. Oops, I've got some answers there that don't make any sense. That happens sometimes. How is the session going? So far, interesting, please continue. I'll wait for a few more answers. Most people seem to be saying interesting, please continue. Okay, it is important to take breaks. However, since most people want, we're short on time here. Somebody has written simple, more theory. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, let's do that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for your feedback. That's very helpful. Let me go then, and I've got some other things that are kind of interesting here. All right, let's just talk a little bit about the theory behind what are the actual required skills for an online teacher. So what I've got here on the left is one model about what an online educator does. An online educator has all these skills. These are what are called the competencies. These are the things that we need to do in order to help students as online teachers. We need to do managerial things, pedagogical, social, technical, assessor, facilitator, be a content expert. It's an enormous basket of skills. I think we're trying to simplify that a little bit. Nowadays, the model is more like, these are the basic three things that you need. You need presence, facilitation, and supporting students. What exactly does that mean? Presence means that you need to communicate, you need to model online behaviors, you need to create cordial learning environments, you need to set clear expectations, and you need to listen to students. Facilitation means that you need to facilitate interaction between the students. One thing to think about that's really important is this. How are you going to guarantee that your student does not open a new tab and suddenly watch her favorite YouTuber, okay? And that may seem like a silly question, but it's actually a very, very significant and profound question. Because no matter what kind of parental controls or content controls or software controls we put, the child's mind is still free. And when that child is online, if she gets bored with your online lesson and she has the option of going to watch her favorite YouTuber. And that's a very difficult competition for us. And in order to do that, we have to leverage those advantages that we have. And what are the advantages that we have? Her friends and her teachers. She comes to the lesson because she wants to see her friends and her teachers. So having social interaction and facilitating interaction between the children is the most important thing that we can do after we've set up that positive, cordial learning environment where every kid feels safe, every kid feels supported. They all look forward to coming to the online lesson. We have to encourage cooperation, resolve little conflicts that happen, and we have to create active learning strategies. We need to support our students. That means we need to give them feedback. Giving them feedback is extremely important. We need to monitor their student progress. We need to help them with their time management. We need to manage the learning environment. You need to be an expert in Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom or Zoom or whatever your online learning platform is. Of course, we still need the content knowledge, and we need to be responsive. You know, one thing that's really interesting about online learning, when I first started teaching the group of students that I have now, about 3 or 4 months ago, in the first few weeks, I never got any communications from them. Now, I'm getting 3 or 4 or 5 communications, sometimes through the classroom, sometimes by email, every day. It took me 2 or 3 months to establish safety, that it was going to be okay for them to send me an email. Now they're sending me emails every day. I didn't understand this. Can you explain this? Can I have a one-on-one session? Can you meet me and explain how to do a bibliography? I'm having problems writing my essay. All these kind of things they're now sending me. It took me 2 or 3 months to kind of establish that environment where the kids felt really, really safe and they really felt supported. And one of the most important things about that was responsiveness. And believe me, I miss a lot of emails. The teachers from my school can tell you. The parents from my school can tell you. But I never miss a kid's email. When a kid sends me an email or sends me a message, I'm always responsive. That's my duty as their teacher, okay? So that's a really important thing. We're shifting. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I will say this. 10 years ago, we thought online learning was a lot about content, syllabus coverage. How do we cover this stuff? Now we're starting to realize that the affective skills are really, really, really important. That getting kids ready to learn online, to check in on their wellness, to guide them about how to teach themselves is more important than teaching them content. All right, our time management is huge. I've already talked about that a little bit. I've got some models here. I think I'm going to skip past that. Let's just, I know I'm running out of time. I'm going to skip over a lot of the technical stuff. I probably shouldn't, but please do take charge of your technical issues. No parent wants to see this. Mick Purcell has left the meeting. No administrator wants to see that, I can assure you. And I've been in lessons with teachers where another teacher keeps having this message go on and off throughout the lesson. Mick Purcell has left the meeting. Mick Purcell has joined the meeting. Mick Purcell has left the meeting. Mick Purcell has joined the meeting. Nobody wants to see that. If you're having technical problems at home, you have to get them fixed. If you don't know how to fix them yourself, you have to ask for help. Ask your school. Tell the school, I need help. I don't know what to do. Help me figure out what I need to do to increase my bandwidth, to increase my connectivity, to make sure that I'm always able to stay in the lesson. We don't want to see teachers going back and forth between phones and laptops. Parents don't want to see that, I promise you, because they send me emails when it happens, okay? What else? Okay, I have a little thing here. What are we doing? How are we doing for time there? We want to pause. I'm afraid we're running out of time. Sorry about that. I knew this was going to happen. Okay, you guys want to make an announcement. Is that right? Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, I was going through the comments. There are a few questions on the feedback form. So we're going to follow the same drill that we've been doing for the last few weeks. What you need to do is go to my CENTA, m.centa.org from your mobile browser, the same place that you used to register for the session. And there you'll find the banner, which is linked to the feedback form. So you can click on the banner and, provide us the feedback. And, take your time. The form is live now. It's going to be there till 8 p.m. today. So you have ample time. So, you need not rush and do it right now. You could do that later as well. Yeah, Mick.
Yeah, boy, I had some other activities planned. I'm afraid we're kind of running out. Are there any, let me just check the questions real quickly. Are there any burning questions there? Are they going to share the video recording?
Yes.
Yeah, so Priyanka, I'll just say again that at the beginning, slideshare.net/Mick Purcell, you'll find the presentation. Okay. Dinesh is reminding us to wash hands. That's important, of course. All right, I don't see any burning questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of finish up here. Let me just mention a couple more things. One of the things that I've been doing, so as I said, our competition is YouTubers, right? Because the young people these days love these YouTubers. So I decided, now, again, like I said, anything you need to learn, you can learn free online. But I decided I was going to kind of make a study of YouTubers. Why is it that these young people are so popular? And this is somebody named It's Funny. She's a Canadian YouTuber. She's got a really interesting story. I should probably mention this. I'm going to try to put this on the slide. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. I think it's called Draw Your Life. Her Draw Your Life story is really interesting about how how her family immigrated to Canada from some Central Asian country. I think that's her three sisters and her brother there. When I've been watching YouTubers, I just sort of noticed that my kids love YouTubers, and I have learned a lot from studying these YouTubers. And one of the things I've learned is the importance of presenting from the web. So for example, if you wanted to talk about where I've learned this stuff, I can just go and show you. This is a beautiful book. It's in the bibliography, entirely free from Kwantlen Polytechnic University. It's free online. You can read it. You can go, for example, to chapter 10, which is a brilliant chapter about online learning. Where's chapter 10? It's about who are my instructors? What is their role? This is a really interesting thing about the roles of online instructors. This is advising students about how to communicate with your online instructors. And they've got some forms for kids to fill out in here, which I highly recommend. So notice now that I'm actually presenting from the web. This was one of the articles that, again, we don't have a lot of time, but there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. Notice how I've gone back and forth between Kahoot, between academic articles. This is something from Ireland, which is really, really good. I've showed you a bit of this before. This is a model for teaching online. There's some interesting stuff in here. So one of the things I learned from YouTubers is how important it is to be able to present directly from the web. I shouldn't have to cut and paste from the web and put it into my presentations. I should just learn how to present from the web. Another thing I learned from the YouTubers was the importance of just being yourself, giving the kids a peek into who you are. They're interested. You notice how I shared stories about my daughter today. That wasn't just by accident. That's by design. When I give a piece of myself to my students, they become more interested in my lessons. And that's the most difficult thing we need to do, is to get them interested in our lessons. I learned how to use OBS. I learned a lot of technical things. I learned the importance about looking at the webcam. A lot of things I've learned from these YouTubers, including the kind of kindness that this particular YouTuber shows. And she's become really, really popular. I promised you I would answer those two questions. So let me just do it. What are the biggest mistake that teachers make? What is the biggest mistake that we make as teachers as we're learning to teach online? Absolutely, the answer to this is trying to replicate classroom teaching. You cannot just replicate what you do in the classroom when you're online. Remember, you need to make the online experience social, meaningful, interactive, light, and engaging. And that's not easy. It's a completely different environment. When they come into your classroom, they're captive. There's nowhere else they can go. When they're at home and they're asked to look at you online, all they have to do is open up another tab. So that's why it's so important to make these lessons social, engaging, and fun. The single most important factor in being an effective online teacher is your presence. You have to establish a presence as an online educator. You have to make them looking forward to seeing you. That may sound difficult, and it is, but remember, the question you have to answer is, what is it about my lessons that makes my kids want to come to my online lessons? The number one advantage is they want to see their friends, but the number two advantage, which is really important, they want to see the teacher. Now, when you think back on why I started with a video, what am I doing there? Let's just think about that. I'm trying to establish my credibility. I know how to use tools. I know how to use YouTube. I want it to be interesting. I want you to be puzzled. I want you to be a little bit confused. It's a cognitive activator. It gets you thinking, especially with the young children. Why does he have a blue shirt in the video but a green shirt on the screen? And also, the experts have advised this. So I've read a lot about online learning, and they all say, a short video, a 1-minute video, is a great way to start an activity, to start a lesson, or to start an entire online course. If you look at the MOOCs, the massive open online courses, they always start with a 2 or 3 minute video. That's not by accident. That's because the researchers have studied this, and they can tell us for sure kids are more likely to be engaged if you have a good opening video that explains what you're going to learn today. So I hope that was useful to you. I hope that at least you guys got Control-Shift-T. We'll open a new tab. Seems like 22 people knew that, but maybe the others didn't. Try it. Try it right now. I'll show you. Control-Shift-T. I'll open the last thing I had. What was it the last thing I had? It was Kahoot, okay? So if there are any questions, I'll be happy to stay.
Sure.
Thanks a lot for participating. I'm sorry I couldn't make it more participatory because we have so many people, we couldn't really have conversation. But thanks a lot to CENTA, thanks to Anjali and to Kartik. Great. I know they'll have questions about the certificate. And if anybody wants to stay to ask questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Sure.
Thanks a lot for your kind comments. Yep. Go ahead, Kartik.
Yeah. So I saw a couple of questions. I'm just gonna, yeah.
Yeah, great question. And actually, thank you, Adia. Thank you for this question. So I think that the most important thing to this is to establish at the beginning of the session what you're going to do. So what I do with my students is I tell them what to do. And I've had one power cut that interrupted my class for about 5 minutes about a month ago, but I had told them beforehand. I said, if the power goes out and if we have a problem, please, I want you to do A, B, and C, continue with the comments, continue with the activity, and just wait for me to get back and have conversations with each other. So that's really important. The other important point, if your school can afford it, this is really important. It's great to have at least 2 teachers in a session. And we're doing that, and it works really well. So there are many good reasons for that. But if one teacher gets cut out because of a Wi-Fi problem or a power problem, the other teacher takes over. And typically what we do is one teacher kind of guides the session and the other teacher sort of guides the comment box and all the interactions, etc. So thanks for that very good question. Yeah, a few more online teaching tools and some effective apps. So in terms of creating interactive videos, I didn't get to tell you this one story, but I should. Thanks for the question, Revati. Let me come back here. So what are some great online some online tools? I didn't tell this story. It's too bad. It's a great story. But this guy is a 7th grade mathematics teacher. He loves to use Khan Academy, GeoGebra, Desmos, and Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a great tool for doing videos and for having kids make their own videos. In the end, the best thing we can do with resources is have kids make their own. So I highly recommend Flipgrid. So let me just open that and make sure I've got that right. Flipgrid. Yeah, Flipgrid. You're an educator, you can sign up for free. Absolutely fantastic. Another thing that I recommend a lot is Scratch. So I don't care what subject you're in, scratch.mit.edu. This is a brilliant platform. And I use it for English. Now, everybody says, but it's computer science. Yeah, but I use it for English. And let me tell you, it works. And I can just show you a few things if you want to see how I use Scratch. Anyway, I don't want to, I might need, so those are 2. I've got many more, but OBS is a great platform for making videos. It's what the professional YouTubers use. So I'll just restrict that to 3. Flipgrid, OBS, and Scratch, okay? And those are all different kinds of platforms, so they'll give you a lot to play with there. What other questions do we have? Thanks, Revati. Any other questions? So when we talk about online teaching tools, one of the most important things is, I recommend this as well. So great. Do I want to put that, you want me to put that, say those again? Okay, let me just put them on a slide here. Okay, yeah, and about mathematics. So I'll type this in. I'll say it again, but I'll type it in as well. I recommend Flipgrid, Scratch. I'll say it out right. Scratch.mit.edu. Alice is also very good. And what else did I just say? What was the third one I just said? Scratch, Flipgrid. I definitely recommend Khan Academy, especially for mathematics. It takes some time to get used to it, but it's also very good for biology, for teaching online, etc. I think about making videos. Flipgrid, Scratch. Oh yeah, OBS, Open Broadcasting Studio. That's a bit tricky, but it's good. It's worth looking at it. YouTubers are the ones that use it. In terms of mathematics, absolutely, Khan Academy is worth it, and kids love it, and it's very, very, very well designed. But if you have a teacher encouraging the kids, then that makes a big, big, big difference. Any other questions that I haven't answered? Yeah, I think these are both great as well. GeoGebra, all of these take some time for GeoGebra or Desmos. They take a little time, but it's worth putting the time into it. I personally would start with Khan Academy, especially for younger kids. So our teachers, I've noticed that our teachers really love Seesaw. I don't use it myself. And another thing they use a lot is, what is the other thing they use a lot? They use Padlets. I don't use Padlet, but I know teachers are using these a lot. I'm not sure if Seesaw still has a free account available or not, but those are some platforms that I know primary teachers really love a lot. Any more questions? Can we turn the audio on for questions or not?
I'm posting the questions here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Boy, art is not my area of expertise. So can she, I wonder if she's asking for applications or for websites or what. We do have, one thing I can recommend to you, Kartik and Anjali, if you guys want a team of really good art educators, I can certainly recommend them. Yeah. Okay. Tips for teaching English online. Sorry to the art teacher. I can say this about art. Yeah, we can do a lot of great things with art right now, without a doubt. There are some fabulous tools available. I am not the expert, but some of the tools that are available are Krita, Krita. Inkscape is really good. It depends on which age you're talking about. And, really you have to learn how to Google this stuff and get involved in online learning communities yourself. One art teacher, one art person that I really like a lot is called Heather Rooney. And just Google her and look at her YouTube channel. That's ROONEY, sorry. Amazing stuff she does. And my son learned how to draw and paint with her, and he's brilliant. He's studying it in art at university now, and it all started with Heather Rooney. She does some fantastic stuff. Other questions about English. For English, I would say one of the best things you can do, depending on the ages, is NaNoWriMo. So NaNoWriMo, if you're not using it, is fantastic. Just have a look at that. And it's also called YWP, the Young Writers Project. And get them involved. What we're talking about here is called online communities, online learning communities. And there's a great TED Talk about this that I highly recommend if you want to learn about online learning communities by a writer, and he's another guy that you should really get to know. And he has something that's very interesting called Crash Course. And I'll just make sure that I've got his name right. TED Talk by John Green. So if you just do TED Talk by John Green, I highly recommend this guy. He's a writer and an English teacher, and he's very, very good. And The Nerd's Guide to Learning. I've never seen that one. What I'm talking about, paper towns and why learning is awesome. So I don't know when the Nerd's Guide to Learning came out, but John Green on the subject of learning and how to use the web for learning is really interesting. The one I'm talking about is paper towns, but I don't know what this one is. Is it new? I don't know. I haven't looked at that one. It'll be worth looking at though, I'm sure. Okay. Anyway, I guess we're kind of finished here. Suba, I think I better try to, if you send me an email, Suba, I will try to answer that question about kindergarten. About attendance. So I'm just going to go back to my presentation. I'll put my email address up there again. I can connect you to people who are expert in kindergarten for sure. So you can see my email address there. And if you send me an email, I'll be happy to answer that question about which platforms are best for. I'll be happy to connect you to kindergarten teachers that are doing some fantastic things in order to use the internet to teach online to kindergarten. That is a big, big challenge, but it's working pretty well for us, and we have some ideas. So I guess that's about it, Kartik. We've kind of run to 6:11. Anything else you'd like me to do? Anjali?
I think I think let's wrap up the session for today. It's been an excellent session, and I think there have been multiple people asking for a follow-up session. So we'll think about that. But thank you for doing this today. I think for all our viewers today, I hope you saw how Mick not only spoke about the strategies and tips that you can use while teaching online. He actually engaged you in a very practical manner while telling you some of the tips that you can use in your classroom. So it was a masterclass in online teaching, and Mick, thank you for doing that. And we hope to have you back at some point in time, considering the number of requests we have received today. There have been a lot of other questions in terms of tools, strategies, etc. I just wanted to let you guys know that CENTA has a 6-week training program on online teaching where we discuss both the tools and the pedagogical aspects of teaching, including how to do content planning, student assessment, and how to engage the students effectively in the classroom. So you can check that out. As I was mentioning earlier in the program, we have launched this postgraduate certification program with Manipal University, and that also includes an elective on online teaching. So that's another option if you want to dig deeper into how to teach online effectively. And I hope all of you found this to be a good 1 hour that you spent with us today. So thank you, Mick, and thank you all the teachers and viewers who gave us your time today. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mick, again.
Sure, Anjali. Great. Nice to have such nice comments. Thanks. I really appreciate that. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, it's way too big a topic for one session, I'm afraid. But, let's just, every little bit you do, I'd like to say congratulations to everybody who's taking the time to come to sessions like this, because every little bit you do is important, and learning how to teach online is a completely new skill set for almost all of us, and it does take a lot of work. So congratulations for putting in the efforts tonight on a Thursday evening. Okay. All right. So thanks, Anjali. Kartik, do I say goodbye now, or do I go into the control room, or what do I do?
You can just leave the studio, and that's it.
Okay. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mick. Yes, sorry, there was an issue with the feedback from earlier, but we've rectified that. Please go to my center, m.centa.org, from the mobile browser, the same place that you used to register, and you should be able to find the feedback from there. Yes, I'll also just put the link in the comment section again. Yes, it's m.centa.org, the same place that you used to register. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you. Thanks a lot.